Hi everyone, Ian here. So today we're going to be looking at Advent of Code and my advice for how to tackle it and approach it. If you don't know, Advent of Code is a advent calendar for programmers. Basically, it's a number of daily challenges, 25 held throughout the month of December through to Christmas Day. Each of those challenges are split into two parts, and as the daily challenges go on, they get progressively harder throughout the month. So by day 25, they are very hard indeed. And what's great about Advent of Code is that it is language agnostic, so you can take part if you like using JavaScript or you like using Python. I use Python myself, or if you want to use a particular different language every day, you can do that as well. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I've done it for the last 6 years, and I wanted to show how I structure my projects when I'm doing the Advent of Code challenge and how I approach these. So we're up to day 5 now. This is the 5th challenge. I've done all the other 4. And one thing to say is that I've never actually completed Advent of Code. So I basically get to the point where I'm finding it harder than it is enjoyable, and I give up. And that's okay. You can give up. You don't have to complete all of them. And yeah, so I thought I'd show how I typically structure things and look at today's question and how I approach it. Anyway, so let's jump into my code in VS Code here and show you what I've got. First of all, I have got all my previous years here, so I can reflect back on them if I want to, because the challenge might seem similar to a previous year. Like I said, each of the challenges are broken into 2 steps, and you get a gold star for each of the steps. And the second step is usually a bit of a twist on the first step. So you'll solve the first one, and then it will typically kind of give you a different angle on what it's given as information. So if we show you one of the challenges, this is this year's collection of challenges. So 2022, we're up to day 5. This is what we've got at the moment. Basically, it's a story about Santa's elves and how they are helping him deliver his presents each year. I think that's the same story every year. And yeah, they have a different problem each day which they need to solve. So today's challenge, we are given some information. We are told, I've had a quick look at this before, so we don't have to read everything verbatim, but basically there is a number of different present stacks, and in each of those stacks there is we've been given a set of instructions as well for those stacks, and basically they're moving presents from one stack to another. So they call them stacks of crates, and yeah. And when we're looking at my code that I have, so I have each of these days. If we look at, say, day 1, that's probably the simplest one to begin with. And if I get rid of this for now, so you can see all the code. Basically, I have a part 1 answer and a part 2 answer. We give them input data for each day, so I don't generally pull in that data into a data list in Python, and then I will operate on that list and try and solve the challenge for that day. So other things that I have is I'm working within a virtual environment. So if I show you what we've got in the pip file, so I have black and PyTest basically, and in a make file I also have some commands to run within a virtual environment to run PyTest and black. So that allows me to format the code without thinking. That allows me to test the code quite simply. So the tests are because we are given examples for each day, and I want to test against those examples before I go ahead and run the code on my own input data. So you're given different input data for each day, and so it's unique to yourself. So I'm going to try and attempt this today's one, and what I'm going to do first of all is create, if I actually just duplicate the files that we have already. So if I copy day 1, day 4 to day 5, and if I do the same with the tests as well, and all my code is up on my GitHub. I will link to it in the comments below, so you can have access to them and have a look at them. in case I don't actually get to explain it too well here. So we have test for day 5 and we have day 5. I will take my day 5 data, and we've got assertions in here that are completely wrong, and I will also update this to point at day 5. So in here we've got a part 1 answer, part 2 answer. I will delete what we've got in these because that is from other days and is wrong. And I'll also change that. So similarly for our data, I will copy them across to day 5. Right, okay, cool. So we've got a data example, and I will copy the data we've got here. Now, some clever bods have set this up so that you can actually just do a lot of it from the command line. So you can even just have an operation that pulls down your data, gets it into file, gets it into structure ready for you to work with. So gets a lot of that craft out of the way. I've not yet done that, but I will potentially be taking a look at that because that is pretty cool. And I'm going to read in each of these lines so that we get so we're not actually operating and manipulating it anyway. So if I print out the data that we got, and I don't even think I need the pipenv for that point, I can see that that is loading in fine. And we've got all the data we need. The data, like I said, we've effectively got these stacks, and then we've got a list. And this is quite different to other days when we just had like a list of numbers. So we need to break this into two different things because we've got like a header of information that is the data that we want to use, and then we've got operations that we want to do on that data. Hey, so it's Ian from the future here. I attempted this and it actually took me ages to complete this one. I'm not going to lie, it took me a long time. I felt like that there's no need for you to see me struggling with things and just have a long video around that. I'll just give you the pointers on what I found out. Yeah, and then hopefully it'll make it your life a bit easier when you're trying to do the challenge as well. Most of the problem is wrapped up in this part around getting these headers correct. So if we look at how they've structured the data is into two parts. So we have these stacks and we have these operations. Extracting that data into something that's useful was the real problem that I had here, and I found very frustrating. Part 2, I've not actually submitted yet, but I'll do that now. Part 1, I'll explain, which is basically pull these operations out into a structure that you can use. I've pulled them out into a list, and that list is... So I've pulled out these stacks into a list, and I've pulled out the instructions into a list. So if you look at part 1 here, this is where we got all the data header instructions there. I pull the stacks out, and I also reverse the order that they come in at so that I can actually push and pull on the right end of them, because basically they're shown upside down in the instructions. From that, then I'm able to pop things off the end of the list. I'm able to pen them on the place where they're meant to go, and I can do that the number of times that I'm told about. So that all works. We're happy with that. So if I run my make tests, you can see the tests are running correctly. If you look at the tests for them as well, you've got test day 1 part 2. You've also got day 1 part 1 and day 1 part 2. So I've submitted that and that works fine. And building this code at the end is about iterating through the stacks that we have after all these operations and basically taking the one off the top. So it's the end of the list that we're using. So that worked fine. I've just literally got to the point where I have completed the second one and followed the instructions and the test passes for it. So the idea here is that the crane can actually move a group of things at once rather than each individual box. So in order to do that, we basically have to change the way the instructions work. And we're basically taking a chunk of the stack that we are moving from, and we are placing it on the other stack, but in order. So that obviously changes the codes that we get out at the end. So this is about basically array indices. What I found problematic was actually passing that initial header. That was the frustrating part of this. You can see here that actually I'm just using a negative amount now to chop off the end of the part that I need to move. The amount remaining is obviously what's left on that stack anyway. And then I just merge these two lists together so we get what we need. So if I've done this right, then my second operation here, and I might need to enter my passcode again. If I submit that, and that's the right answer. And there's a frustrating process to go through. I can see I've got 10 stars now. There is a leaderboard, but I'd suggest not trying to aim for that if this is your first time trying to do Advent of Code. This was a difficult one. I kind of found it quite frustrating. If you've not yet, I would urge you to check out Advent of Code, get involved. You can structure it like the way that I've shown you here. I will be uploading my code that I've just shown you there so you can see it on my GitHub. I would urge you to kind of feel free to kind of drop out when you find things are getting difficult, as I do. It's not meant to be a chore, it's meant to be fun. So yeah. So one other thing to mention is that there's a subreddit that you can get answers from. If you look at this, you can see that we've already got some visualizations for the stack problem that we just tackled. You even got day 6 because I'm actually recording this on day 6 now, and I've not yet done day 6, so I need to get on with that. But yeah, if you're struggling and you want some help, this is a place to go. I tend not to use it because actually sometimes people just give the answer without explaining how to solve it, and I don't really want to know the answer straight away. I want to be guided to it. But if you look carefully, you might be able to kind of get some hints, and if you're really struggling and you want to carry on, you can go to this subreddit. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed seeing that I don't find it easy either. If you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you like these sorts of things, then yeah, I do lots of other things like this on my channel. And I'll see you soon in a new video. All right, bye for now.